Welcome to the NTSC 5 and 5 series, where I, Ashwin, Krishnan host amazing tech leaders on Standout in IDSec. Today, my guest is Fricke, CISO at the City National Bank of Florida. My questions to him: learnings while dealing with cyber incidents, one cyber regulation he wishes he could pass, his tactics to stay balanced, energetic, and motivated as a CISO, and two really personal questions. Watch out. What's the most important thing when it comes to dealing with cyber incidents?
The most important thing when dealing with cyber incidents, in my mind, is that preparation, right? Preparation is key. You want to work with your teams, right? Work with your technical teams, have playbooks and run books, which may go out the window when it all hits the fan. But having kind of pre-rehearsed, getting in touch with your key stakeholders, having established those relationships, everyone should know what their function is. Having gone through the tabletops, right? Leveraging your frequent pen testing that you're doing, but have a cadence of pulling those stakeholders together across the different technical, disciplines. And then beyond the rehearsals, also understanding that there's the incident response as well as the crisis management. Having thought through engaging with, outside counsel, engaging with law enforcement, your insurance company, how do you notify if you have to notify customers, having processes in place and service providers who are going to be able to help you manage the crisis as effectively as you're managing the cyber incident. So those are the two big parts: preparation, testing, and then the crisis management piece and how that enjoins with your cyber incident response.
If you had a magic wand and you could have one piece of regulation that gets passed, what would you pick and why?
Probably a little controversial, but I would say outlawing ransomware payments. I think that's a really interesting thought experiment around how do you stop the scourge of ransomware, extortions, things like that, because they're ultimately forcing you to pay, right, in order to prevent the destruction of that data or the recovery of that data or prevent the release of that data. And if the hundreds of millions or billions of dollars in payments had been reinvested in those organizations' cyber resilience, we would be in a much different place today than we are. We're still fighting this constantly, these ransomware incidents that take place. And so outlawing the payments, it may disrupt commerce, it may disrupt businesses, but I think it will give board members and other executives reprioritize cyber resilience as a top priority in their strategies.
So in the CISO world, we hear a lot about burnout. What are your tips to maintain energy, enthusiasm, and just mental health through this?
Yeah, I think besides the obvious work-life balance, as a part of that is having an outlet for that stress, right? Whether it be meditation or, some people do yoga, CrossFit, some people go scuba diving, or they have art, or they have family, or they have some other outlet for their ability to kind of blow off steam and to disconnect from the stressful day-to-day. So I think that's a major component of it, as well as building high-performing teams. If you've got your direct reports and excellent team members, you're going to be able to delegate decision making, right? And you're not kind of getting fatigued by having to make all the decisions all the time. I think critically as a part of that is your ability to trust your teams, that they're going to be able to make those decisions on your behalf, right? Or you've delegated the authority, maybe not the accountability, but you can lean on them in those times and you're not doing it alone. And thirdly, I'd say probably your network, right? Being able to talk to others in your domain. So other CISOs, we can compare notes. We can, when you're engaging with your peers, you don't feel so alone in the fight. So I think those are probably the three things I would suggest.
So switching to your personal side, what advice would you give to a younger Brian, let's say 10, 15 years ago?
A couple of things, probably the first one being don't underestimate the power of your network, whether that be connecting with other technical people, legal minds, venture capitalists who are investing in solutions, or startups, founders who are solve these problems with new solutions, right? Other CISOs, of course, but the power of your network cannot be understated. It's what will drive your career long term. It kind of creates that reinforcement of some of the ideas. It helps you hone your ideas when you get other people who are not necessarily criticizing, but constructively criticizing or steel sharpens steel, right? So having I think a deep and broad network of professionals, I would have wanted to start that early on. And then finding a mentor early on who's going to invest in you, who has a reason to see your success and who wants to be a part of your life. Having that early on was also really critical, and it can open doors. It can help shape how you approach problem solving or how you tackle strategy or operational challenges. So I think both of those, the depth and breadth of your network, the personal network, professional network, as well as the mentorship.
Last question, what makes your heart dance and your eyes light up?
I think in the context of my professional work, it would be whenever I get to do some deep problem solving, whether it's in a board capacity, trying to solve problems for the organization, whether it be strategic or reputational, operational, et cetera, or when I'm engaging at more tactical levels with my risk professionals or technology professionals. Anytime you're in a room with some really smart folks and you're trying to understand the problem and you're blending that creativity and the science, right? The art and the science of what cybersecurity is. I think that's really when I find my stride. Get the creative juices flowing, and you're doing that critical thinking and problem solving. It's always a joy.